This is the October market report for Washtenaw County. And what we saw in Washtenaw this past September and the first couple weeks of October has been what we've been seeing and expecting for the last few months. And that is the market is settling down a little bit. Our sales associates are telling us that, and that's sort of the advanced information we look for. The statistics, hard numbers that we see, don't quite show it slowing as much as we're hearing because those numbers reflect transactions and sales that occurred and closed, or at least the buyers and sellers came together on value as much as 3 or 4 months ago. But even looking at those numbers and looking at the current listing activity and inventories, we're seeing that inventories are rising. We're seeing that activity levels are slowing a little bit in all price ranges, and it may reflect the fact that values jumped a lot in 2013 in Washtenaw County, and they jumped this spring as well when we had that release of that winter pent-up demand. And it may be that values just reached a little bit ahead of where the market and the economic conditions would warrant it. So it wouldn't be surprising to see certainly that listing prices are probably a little overpriced where they ought to be right now because they were priced based on spring of this year activity levels, and activity levels have settled. And it wouldn't be surprising to see values settle just a little bit this fall and into the winter because it may be that values rose a little faster than they should have. It doesn't mean that this is a major issue. Any market, whether it's stocks, bonds, real estate, they always have the minor corrections. Now, fortunately, sometimes you have the major corrections like we had with our recession, but overall, historically, you get minor ups and downs. Nothing is perfectly timed and buyer and demand matching. So we think this is a little bit out of whack. But overall, the values for homes in Washtenaw County in 2014 will be higher than 13, and 15 will be higher than 14 in all price ranges, just that you're going to have a little bit of a reflection. However, the opportunity that you have is, particularly if you're selling this fall and winter, is those little extra high price ranges, price sales in the spring will be the comparable sales you'll use when you sell your home in fall and winter, and that might give you a boost in values, particularly if you're in, as many sellers are, have the opportunity of being in a multi-bid situation. And that's still going on. It's down a little bit. It's about 27% of homes sold in September were at or above list price versus about 37% last September. Still, 27% is a very significant number still. So we still have a lot of extra activity. So taking advantage of those spring comps will help you this fall and winter. And there may be an opportunity, I think, more likely that we'll see a jump in activity this spring as opposed to a settling. I think there's still some pent-up demand out in the marketplace. There's still a lot of sellers who want to sell. They haven't been able to. Home values are starting to get back up close to 2006, 2005 peak levels. That's sort of that magic psychological point where sellers will say, now I guess values are back to where they were, now I can finally sell. And we think that still is out there, so we wouldn't be surprised to see a little jump in listing activity, more sellers putting their homes on the market this spring, and maybe even some buyer activity being released too. But overall, going into the fall with, although not as strong a market as last fall. Last fall was pretty crazy. Still, from a historical standpoint, a pretty strong market. This will be one of our better markets in general. And I think going into the winter, although winters are always slower, from a sales standpoint, still a very strong market. So overall, things look still pretty good for the balance of this year and certainly going into next year.